Hello everyone. In this video, we're picking out and sharing the latest topics about Asia. From one of the most famous Reddit-style forums in Japan. Even if you don't understand Japanese, we've translated everything into English subtitles and audio. So you can join the conversation as if you were in Japan. So, let's dive into the discussions happening in Japan. When a Japanese apartment got a new Chinese owner, rent jumped from 70,000 yen to 190,000 yen overnight. A man found a letter in his mailbox titled Notice of Rent Increase. The letter, addressed to him, stated that the ownership of the apartment, building and land had been transferred to Company A. After looking into the company, the man said, the company's representative is Chinese, but their headquarters keeps moving around. And I couldn't figure out what kind of business they're actually in. He consulted a lawyer, who told him that he was not obligated to accept such a sudden rent hike.
What happens legally if he refuses to pay the increased rent? Until the court determines a fair rent price, the tenant can pay what they believe is reasonable. If the court rules in favor of the rent increase, the tenant will have to pay the difference, plus interest. I doubt a Chinese company would bother dealing with Japan's complicated legal system. If they really want to increase the rent, they'll have to sign a new contract with the tenant. Just receiving a notice doesn't mean you have to pay. But if you sign, then you're locked in. The Japanese government should just seize the land. That would solve everything. Many people misunderstand the situation. It's not that Chinese investors want Japanese land itself. What they really want is to make money through real estate speculation. Their goal is to buy properties, resell them, and turn a profit. Even if tenants aren't legally required to pay the increased rent, who would want to live in a building where the owner sees them as an obstacle? Chinese investors are taking over luxury high-rises too. Japan is doomed. I heard that after the Osaka Expo ends, the site will be leased to Chinese investors for 60 years and basically turn into a Chinese enclave. Is that true? In China, foreigners can't own property. Even Chinese citizens don't really own land, the government does. And yet, Chinese investors can freely buy land in foreign countries. Doesn't that seem unfair? That's just the difference between socialism and capitalism. These price spikes are purely speculative. So eventually, the prices will drop again. That may be true legally, but if the owner is unreasonable, there's no telling what they might do. It's unsettling. China has no inheritance tax, which means wealthy Chinese families hold far more money than their Japanese counterparts. If Japan doesn't impose regulations, Tokyo will be overrun with Chinese and foreign investors. Whatever happened to the Communist parties, everyone is equal, ideology? If I were in this situation, I wouldn't even bother. I'd move out immediately rather than get involved in this mess. Chinese investors are coming in with the same attitude as scalpers, who cut in line. They don't care if locals don't like it. Japan is being invaded, piece by piece. This country is done for. They're probably hiking the rent, just to kick out tenants and turn the place into an Airbnb. If Japan keeps allowing this, Chinese investors will buy up all the real estate, and the country's safety will deteriorate. The new ownership company might already be in financial trouble and desperate for cash. The real owner has probably already fled back to China, leaving a local representative as a front while dodging taxes. This isn't just a case of neglecting the problem. The Japanese government and business world have actively welcomed this. Turning these units into Airbnbs would easily generate 150,000 yen per month. That's probably the logic behind the rent hike. This is starting to look exactly like what happened in Canada. If Japanese investors tried something like this in China, they'd probably be labeled as hostile foreigners and thrown in prison. People keep bringing up Airbnb, but in reality, these properties are probably being sold to other Chinese investors, forming an exclusive Chinese community. That's what overseas Chinese do. If tenants refuse to move out, what happens? Will they have trash dumped at their door or even have their units set on fire? Japan is steadily becoming a country where Japanese people can't even live in peace. That sounds like something thugs would do. Chinese investors aren't that soft. Look at how Elon Musk bought Twitter. When you have enough money, you can buy anything. The ugly side of capitalism is becoming more and more obvious. This isn't just about rental properties. Even homeowners aren't safe. One day, you might wake up to find a Chinese neighbor next door. At least renters can still move. Looking at this situation, it seems like Chinese investors want to recreate their own real estate bubble in Japan. If things keep going this way, landlords across Japan will follow suit and raise rents, leading to another real estate bubble and eventual collapse. At this point, Chinese investors are basically Japan's enemy. In China, Japanese citizens aren't even allowed to buy property. Japan should follow suit and seize Chinese-owned properties under the principle of reciprocal treatment. This is actually really scary. If landlords in the area start coordinating with each other, they could manipulate rent prices. This isn't foreigners being favored. It's just the ultra-rich being favored. Japan has been stuck in deflation for 35 years, but at least that kept housing affordable.
Did you find this video interesting? We'll keep bringing you fun topics from Japan's online community. Please subscribe to the channel and drop some comments.